This is about The Glass Key, a novel by Dashiell Hammett. I was reading a book, an anthology, in which writers of mystery or crime fiction were selecting their favorite book from that genre and adding a few words to back up their choice. Early on, one of them was writing about the Maltese Falcon, and he said, though not even Hammett's favorite of his novels, The Maltese Falcon has been routinely described as the greatest mystery novel ever written. Shortly after, he added, it is a great novel as well as being a substantial one. I think that's a lot of hooey. It may be a good book. It's certainly a very famous book, with the kicker added that it is also a very famous movie. So it's got a lot going for it. But the greatest ever? I don't like to hear talk like that. I think it's cheap, shallow talk. I don't like it when I hear people talk about the greatest baseball player ever, or the best pitcher, the finest power hitter, or the best basketball player, or who is the GOAT when it comes to quarterbacks in football. To me, this is all fruitless talk. I do, however, like to consider the great champions in any sport and books of real stature, too. The Maltese Falcon may be a good one. It's got a catchy title, and Sam Spade and a crew of hustlers killing and falling all over each other for a legendary bird that turns out to be a worthless plaster fake, the stuff that dreams are made of, baby. But personally, I never bought into the sentimental claptrap that Spade somehow loved Bridget O'Shaughnessy but had to turn her over because it was the right thing to do. That's more hooey. He was looking for the person who killed his partner. She did it. End of story. Instead, we get a long moral speech. Blah, blah, blah. The next book considered in the book I was reading was The Glass Key by Dashiell Hammett. That turns out to be the one Hammett considered his finest. And of it, the author of the essay on it ends it by writing, and the best of those books, the very best of any books, the book every person should read at least once, and every writer at least once a month, is The Glass Key. Wow. Look at me, shamefaced. Because I own a copy of that book, have for years, and I've never read it. I felt I better read it now. So I did. And I was unimpressed. I didn't think it was hard-boiled, I thought it was half-baked, but who knows what that means. Maybe I missed the greatness. It isn't a long book, and I was grateful for that. There are 3 murders in it, 1 suicide, 1 attempted suicide, and 1 person who wants to kill himself, but is prevented from doing it. The central figure in the book, Ned Beaumont, works for a man who runs things behind the scenes, gets people elected to office, finds jobs for people, decides who gets the plum contracts, tells the cops when to jump. Beaumont advises him. He's an oracle, and he is never wrong. Beaumont is, really, in Freudian terms, the kingpin superego. Beaumont is really interested in doing, if possible, what is smart and square. He can see the trouble in anything and knows how to avoid it. When people get into too much trouble, he knows enough to avoid them. As central characters go, Beaumont is rather stiff and dull, and he smokes too much. As for the Glass Key itself, the leading lady, who leaves at the end with Beaumont, though there is no indication that he loves her, she has a dream. She and Beaumont are lost in a forest, come to a house, and they can't get in. Through a window, they can see a great feast on a table inside. They are hungry. They find a key to open the door and see there are snakes on the floor. They leave the door open, the snakes come outside, and while they are up on the roof, and when the snakes are gone, they climb down and eat the food, laughing joyously. He tells her that she's making it up. He's right again, because later she tells him the key was made of glass and they break it, opening the door, so they can't lock it, keeping the snakes inside. This time she wakes up screaming. leaving any reader to wonder what happened to climbing up on the roof and letting the snakes come out, or just close the door. It doesn't matter if it isn't locked. No snakes can get out. Snakes aren't good at opening locked doors, or any doors. No matter, the glass key is supposed to be like the plaster bird, a meaningful symbol fraught with profound significance. Wow, a glass key! This time it really is the stuff dreams are made of, baby. Just don't give it too much thought. About the writing in the book, I will only mention that it is a compendium of facial expressions. Lips, eyes, cheeks, chin, forehead, hair, ears, and even shoulders. They work overtime in this book. There are also constant detailed instructions on dialogue delivery. This is true for scene after scene, until finally the book struck me as being like a silent movie, the characters overacting, followed by lines of dialogue. The characters, of course, were completely caught up in their hammy, melodramatic behavior, and it struck me as being unintentionally humorous, the way silent films can look funny. And the book really isn't a mystery. Beaumont knew it all along.